US farms got a bailout because of the impact of the trade issues between the US and China. Problem solved, right? Put tariffs on products and there's no consequences, right? Taxpayers have to fork out the money in order to pay to subsidize the losses of the farms. Sadly, it seems that the small farmers weren't even given any of the bailout money last round and probably won't this time either. Oh well, here we go again. You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. Today we are going to talk about the impact that these trade issues have on people, and you'll see what I'm going to talk about with the farmers as well as the average person. This doesn't go over well. You cannot put massive level tariffs on a country so important as China and not have it really affect people where they live. I think that there has been a lot of talk, there's been a lot of words being used that aren't in fact true when we see how it all plays out. I'm going to show you some of the evidence today and hopefully we can get to the bottom of it all. Back in July of 2018, I did this video, US farmers get a $12 billion bailout. So all the details of that particular bailout are in this video. If you go down to the sources in the description, the link for that will be here, or you could simply type in US farmers get a $12 billion bailout, the money GPS, and you will see it for yourself. So I'm not going to cover the issues specifically with that one, but just wanted to let you know that I had done a video about it at that time, and now we are at the second round. Now, why do we have a second round? Because of course the impact is still being felt today, and it's only going to get worse if they apply more tariffs. Bailout spending on farmers is poised to more than double as the US-China trade issues drag on. With a second bailout program on deck, the total price tag of tariff aid so far could jump past $30 billion. You need to remember that the $30 billion here, of course, includes both, okay? Both packages here, the $12 billion previously, and they're thinking as much as $20 billion perhaps. So we'll see what happens. Of course, that's not official yet, but I'm obviously going to do a video about it when the time comes. Farmers have grown frustrated at the prospect of relying on subsidies, relying on government aid. This is because they want their business to run smoothly, operational. They don't want to have to deal with this, of course, but this is where it gets a little tricky because we've seen that it isn't the small farmer, okay? It's not those individuals, it's the big farms that are getting the money, and I will show you the details of that in a moment, but just wanted to show you how this is impacting those people directly. Okay, so the farmers are getting hit, and then we have a group of people obviously that are in need, and they're very important. You need farmers, there's no doubt about it. We've had a big change in between that family farm and now we have big agribusiness. So there's a lot of machinery today. They're trying to automate all of that. They're getting rid of a lot of the human involvement. They're bringing in more machines, more businesses. Of course, all these farms are getting bought out. The big companies take over. There have been an unlimited amount of documentaries all on this subject. Payments to farmers. The current plans call for some direct purchase of food by the government. I mean, to me, when I see that, we know that there is a problem. The government now has to go directly into the market and buy from these farms. To me, that shows the complete weakness and the breakdown in what this has come to. If the business cannot afford to be maintained, unfortunately, it has to go under. But why are they going under? Is it because they're not profitable? Is it because they had some problems internally? Or is it because of some other factor that's beyond their control that is unfortunately screwing them over? That's up to you to decide. Now, apparently, it could go as high as $20 billion according to the Agriculture Secretary, but we've heard reports of $15 billion also. So somewhere in between 15 and 20 billion, either way, we're looking at about $30 billion worth of taxpayer money that is going towards farmers. Corn growers argue that they were shortchanged last year's $12 billion, and that's maybe why they're going as high as $20 billion this time. They're going to give them more money. Why not? There's just a few billion here or there. So let me show you some other things that I believe are very important. 1/10 of US farm operators have received more than half of the money from a federal bailout designed to offset the cost of the administration's trade battles. Some use legal loopholes to collect multiples of a $125,000 cap on payments. The payments reflect the farm sector's political clout in Washington. No other U.S. industry has received direct payments to relieve losses caused by tariffs. The department is now working on a second direct payment scheme worth as much as $20 billion after the trade talks collapsed. It's always the same. You have a revolving door. So if you look who works for the Department of Agriculture, there's all the same people in all of these big establishments, whether that is companies like Monsanto or some of the big farms that are out there, all of the different companies involved in that. They don't care about the little guy ultimately. There's no possible way that they're ever going to, okay? Even if they do get some scraps, it's not going to be anything like what the big farmers are getting. They're going to be taken care of, and understandably, they have to feed more people. This is very true. Most of the food ends up going to actually the animals that eat it. However, this is a whole separate issue. I just wanted to show you this and prove to you where the money goes. Nike and Adidas call the tariffs, quote, catastrophic. So in all, 173 companies signed an open letter and posted it on the Industry Trade Association's website. Here's a quote. This apparently is catastrophic for our consumers, our companies, and the American economy as a whole. There's actually some more details in this next one here. Out of CNBC, they just pulled a quote from it. The industry, in a letter sent to the White House, said the tariffs would mean some working American families could pay a nearly 100% duty on their shoes. That to me is excessive. Now, while you would see something like this, maybe if the shoe price is too expensive, people will not buy it, and that hurts the economy. That's the point I'm trying to make. You could say, well, they'll buy a shoe made somewhere else, but it doesn't really happen like this in short order. You have to understand that these type of things will take time. If you were thinking, well, now Nike has to make their shoes in the US, it's not gonna happen. They are going to pass this on to the consumer. They're going to cut corners somehow. They're going to provide shoddy materials maybe. They are going to actually put the consumer in a position to pay more because they are not going to take from their own profits. I don't know why people think that suddenly they are going to affect their own profits. If you wanted that to happen, then the stocks would drop, then they would fire people, and then you have a problem. All of these companies need to make excessive profits in order to keep the shareholders happy so that they don't fire a whole bunch of people, so that the stores remain open, so that people can continue this whole bunch of consumerism that's going on. And unfortunately, that's the way it works. We are living on the edge on this excessive amount of debt, and if something changes that, we are going to have a dramatic impact negatively on the economy. So that's all. I'm going to end the video there. If you found it informative, please give me a thumbs up. I want to know your thoughts on this, obviously, so leave a comment down below. I think it's really interesting to see how this is all playing out over time. There are many sides to this. It is not direct, it is not simple, but I do believe that we should all be focusing on it. There's no doubt. So if you drop me a like on this video, I really would appreciate that. If you want the financial education you were not taught in school, these two books have everything you need from top to bottom, A to Z. Check them out at the link in the description. If you want the audiobook, that's available at themoneygps.com. There are now about 7,000 stores closing in the US in 2019 alone, the pace at which we haven't seen in a very, very long time. You got to watch this video, click on it, and I will see you there.